So I'm driving to my daughter's dance competition on Saturday, and I turn on the radio, and I hear Ray's Fan Fest at the pier. Of course, they can't have it at Tropicana Field unless they wanted to make it sunroofable, I suppose. But it was a gorgeous day, absolutely stunning day, perfect day for it. Got to hear some interviews and whatnot, and also heard the president, Brian Holt, trying to walk back some of the stuff that they had said on their own radio. I guess you'd say radio broadcast that was an in-house deal. Look, we'll get to where we think the stadium is and all that, but let's just go on the field here first and foremost. I know they have 6 starting pitchers. This is what I'm going to tell you what the headlines are. Rays have 6 starting pitchers, and not just 6 starting pitchers. It's Koufax, Drysdale. Let's see who else. I mean, I'm excited about
Bob Gibson.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, Denny McLain from the 30-game win. Denny McLain. I'm excited about their arm. They always seem to have good arms, right? And you're getting guys back, right? You got McClanahan, who's gonna apparently they've already let go that he's the opening day starter. But and I like the optimism. We know they're built on pitching and defense. And seriously, they have arms. A lot of these guys are coming off, I don't know, their second Tommy John. In the case of Rasmussen, was his third or something like that. So God bless him. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to be able to overcome that sort of thing. But I'm sorry, like I didn't realize that they just make you the AL East champions because you have what you think are the 6 best starters in baseball. There's got to be some other teams out there that have good pitching. They're so like confident, and maybe they should be, but isn't there, pitching and defense is their DNA, but like I'm still not convinced they've done anything or enough to change how many runs they can score. I know it's about run prevention, not accumulation. But my goodness, and what else would you be, right? Hope springs eternal. But every guy, and most of them that have been, I've heard or even read with Mark Tompkins stories in the Tampa Bay Times, so optimistic. Is that just, have I gotten too far removed from spring training, Steve? Is that just the way it is in baseball? Like every spring is a chance for renewal. This team really thinks that they think they have the best pitching staff in the American League. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, but with the exception of last season, they go into spring training every year very confident, and usually we're predicting 100-loss seasons. And when they trade Corey Dickerson and others, and that's going back a few years, but
right,
this is the end. It's collapsing. 100 losses, this, that, and the other, and then they go out and win the AL East.
That's true.
Make the playoffs.
They've done that a bunch of times. Yeah.
I mean, typically when they're this confident, they're not wrong.
Right.
Now, I don't think I think they're hopeful their offense will be much better. Yes. I think they're confident their pitching is really good.
They're confident their pitching and their defense is really good. And even though, they obviously got some people to replace in the outfield too. But yeah, I mean, that's, they're happy with Danny Jensen, their catcher. They got a lot of elements that makes them confident they're going to have a heck of a year. It's still going to take a lot of for these guys to stay healthy. That has not been their strong suit, especially last season. But man, okay, sign me up. I mean, you can run out 5 great starters and maybe 6 if you needed them. And the bullpen has been really, really solid with Fairbanks down there and Rosetta and other guys. So, I mean, I guess we put them right in there as contenders with the Yankees and the Orioles. And don't look now, but the Red Sox are making some moves as they are, often do.
Yeah, they signed Alex Bregman over the weekend.
Yeah, that's a huge signing for them. And look, it's always, playing in this division, if you're able to make the wild card or win the division out of here, you're a pretty good team because you played some of the best teams in baseball. And I think the AL East has just gotten stronger and stronger each year. But the Rays have had to, try to catch that now and keep up. Maybe they will with this pitching and some of the pieces they've added. But it was just one guy after the other. And you don't expect to come on there and go, well, we hope to win 80 again. They were 80 and 82 a year ago. But man, this is if they play as well as they talked on Saturday, get your playoff tickets ready because they are a confident bunch, and but you're right. They're kind of counting on what they did 2 years ago, where everybody comes back and has a better year, right? You got to have
That's what they're hoping
Josh
hitting wise
Lowe,
for
and
sure.
yeah,
Lowe and Lau can stay
Lau,
healthy, and Yanni
yeah,
Diaz particularly gets off to a better start. I think the last 2/3 of the season he was pretty good, but the
right.
start was just awful, and so the stats don't look as good.
And then Junior Caminero shows up around after the first month and just well, he's going to start the season there, but I mean
you're hoping Ha-Sung Kim.
Hasam Kim joins them in September or in the beginning of the year.
He even's talking about maybe late April he'll be back.
I saw that. Yeah, that would be impressive. That'd
but
be
yeah,
real impressive.
I mean, you're out. I mean, 3 of your top 4 home run hitters last year are gone.
Right.
Jose Siri's not here. Randy Rosarena's not here. I mean, they have holes to fill.
Yep.
I think defensively they're going to be fine with those holes. Can they get enough offense? And look, it's always been the question here in Tampa Bay. This organization for years has developed pitching, found other pitchers that were scuffling somewhere else and come here and become superstars or really good pieces, and that's what they've done. They haven't been able to figure out how to consistently bring up hitters. I mean, Wander Franco was one. Junior Caminero looks like he's going to be a good one. But is Josh Lowe? Look, his rookie season was Second season was really good. Last year was what is he? We're going to find out a lot this year. Can Johnny DeLuca or Richie Palacios, what are they going to be when they get more playing time this year now? Can Brendan Lau stay healthy? Is Yandy Diaz, was last year just age starting to catch up, or is it, that it was just a bad year, bad start? We'll find out. Can Junior Caminero make the next step? How will Danny Jansen do behind the plate? There's questions, but the pitching should keep them in things. And they're starting to get another stable of 98ers back in that bullpen.
They got the 98ers, man. They got the Bruise brothers. Don't mess with these guys. If you get in a beanball war, it's going to leave a mark. These guys can all bring it, man. I love power arms, though. I really do. I think, and it's great to see a guy who knows how to pitch. Don't get me wrong. If Tom Glavine's out there, then go get him. But there's nothing like watching a bunch of guys go out there and just throw 98, 99, 100. It's incredible, one guy after another, and they've certainly got some dudes that can gas it up there pretty good. And McClanahan will be one of those. Apparently, he's already a little overzealous and popping 98 here and there in the bullpen. But he'll get the first start of the season. So, yeah, they're a confident bunch, and they got a good bullpen to go with it. So, I mean, yeah, I'd be a little bullish on their pitching and maybe their defense. Not sure about the offense. Just not sure that you can score 3 or 4 runs every game. If you did that, I give you a really good chance to win over 90 or so. But I don't necessarily see the bats to go with it, and maybe some of that pitching will lead to a trade of another bat or something. We'll just have to wait and see. But man, it was fun to hear, and having the fan fest at the pier, of course, which they had to do because of the trop being in disrepair. That seemed like a neat element too. When's the last time have you walked around St. Petersburg lately? I was talking to Tom Jones about this, who was walking around it at the time of the day of Fan Fest. It's incredible how that city has transformed.
Oh, it's phenomenal down the pier and everything standing out from there, and Beach Drive and all that. I mean, it's the time I've been in this town, and I don't get to St. Pete as often as you'd like, especially the way it's changed and that. But yeah, it's incredible, the transformation. It's not a sleepy town anymore. It's not and not that it was always sleepy, but that was kind of the reputation.
Well, and now the thing is, they built all those condos and things. And there's residents there now. There's people that are actually living downtown, and some of these properties are ridiculously expensive, but others have popped up, and now you actually have a neighborhood vibe and just a ton of restaurants and bars and things. Of course, a beautiful waterfront. But if you walk around down there, man, it's pretty special. especially like you see a lot of people on the weekends and whatnot, which is another reason why the Rays and this development down there makes so much sense for them, if they can figure it out. We did mention, so, it's just this whole thing of coming out and kind of being doom and gloom towards the city and the county. And, we know that the date is coming close to finally ratify that whole agreement, which was an agreement. But then, they go on there and say what they said in terms of like making it sound things aren't not only going well, but they may not happen at all. And then you come back on Ray's Fan Fest, and I was listening, and it was basically like, "Hey, let's not panic here, okay? A lot of things have been said, but we're here for at least 4 more years." It's like, wait a minute, like that's not an endorsement. Like you've been wanting to get out of here since '98 when the Trop opened. You've been wanting a new stadium. So now all of a sudden we're supposed to embrace the fact that you're going to be here for 4 more years.
You're going to be here for 4 more years, but we have to have a decision on where you're going to be
Right.
5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like this year.
During 3 of those years, some stadiums being built in another city for you. That's really not much of a bonus, right? It's good. In other words, 3 of those years has to be used, or 2 of those years has to be used to build a new ballpark someplace. So you hope they put the stake in the ground in Tampa and that's or Tampa Bay and not somewhere else. And hey, maybe it'll be Tampa. That was a Freudian slip, but I still say that with them playing over there at Legends, that first of all, it adds just a uniqueness, to the whole season. Certainly a hardship too, but I think that they're going to enjoy playing outdoor baseball, at least initially. And there's some dimensions on that ballpark that could favor them with Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe. So just a change of pace, right? Just something different. Mostly sellout crowds. I would hope. I would expect those are going to be tough tickets to get. So there's just a lot to look forward to, in my opinion. I think new can be good. Now the dog days are coming. We all know that. Somebody made a good point when I was listening to the to Ray's Fan Fest the other day. And it was a pitcher. I want to say it might have been Rasmus. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but they said about, hey, what are you going to do to prepare to be pitching outside, in that extreme heat and elements. And the guy made the point. He goes, it's a heck of a lot easier if that's what you're doing to then go pitch somewhere, in Kansas City in August, and it'd be, 100 degrees there, than if you're in a climate controlled environment at 72 degrees for half the season. And then you go outside and you're like, man, how do people do this? You're sweating, you're dying, you just don't, so at least if they're already playing outdoors, there won't be as big of an adjustment, from going from the Trop to outdoors. I didn't really consider that for pitchers, considered it for everybody else, but like, for pitchers, it's a thing, because you're going to get lathered up pretty good. You're going to lose some fluids. You're going to, have to maintain, yourself and your composure out there. And you're coming out of, a homestand where maybe you pitched twice in 75-degree climate controlled weather. So maybe in a weird way, going on the road is not going to be as big of a deal if they're playing outdoor baseball now.
That's very possible. I mean, it's not like these pitchers have never pitched in those environments. And,
no, they all have.
They go on road trips and they have to endure that, whether it's in Texas or, wherever, so it's not like that. But the question is playing a lot more in Tampa in the summer, in addition to the road, is that going to just kind of wear on them more, just the overall fatigue, or is it going to help them prepare for it because they're used to it?
Right.
I mean, it's the old question, like in football. It's always like, well, the Bucs have an advantage playing in the heat because they practice in the heat and they live in the heat. There's some truth to that. But at the same time, has that worn them down more over the year because they're practicing in more extreme heat weather?
1,000%
than other teams who come down and play for one day in it.
Absolutely.
Or, practice a few days a year in it because they don't have that.
Absolutely.
The cold's kind of the same way. I mean, is it better off to not have to prepare and practice in the cold, and where that can wear on you too, where you just go in and play for 3 hours and then leave? I mean, history will tell you the cold one is more the home team is favored, but is it because of the weather? Is it just because of the home? I mean, who knows? But as far as the Bucks having advantage in heat playing here, maybe they do. I mean, they are used to it more, but has that taken a toll on their bodies more throughout the season?
It has to. Listen, it has to, and they've been on both sides of this with the new indoor facility that they built over there, because I distinctly remember, maybe it was Arians or whoever was before him, I guess Dirk Cutter, but they made better use of the indoor facility because they felt that there was a cumulative effect to practicing in such extreme heat. Like, yeah, we're used to it, but we're also very dehydrated. And for 3 hours a day, mentally, some team can come from up north, push through it, but they're in a better position, to play in that because they haven't been working in it every day. They haven't been subjected to so much fluid loss. And I know these guys do a good job of trying to maintain, their levels, and they're checked all the time and all of this. But you can't get away from it. And that, to me, when you're outside, as Bowles has done, very few walkthroughs inside during the season, I think does have a cumulative effect. I think it hurts you. But we'll see if they do anything about it. All right. Well, Valentine's Day went by, and some of you guys, maybe myself included, didn't do a very good job. And maybe you have another chance of redemption. And you can do that by going to International Plaza Mall and go visiting our friends at the Breitling Boutique. That's right, Breitling Boutique. It's upstairs. Go to the center of the mall, kind of look up. Gorgeous store, tremendous customer service. Look, they're used to dealing with all kinds of professional athletes. You're going to see a Buccaneer or two in there if you hang out long enough. Some other athletes as well, but that doesn't matter because you're the show, you're the celebrity, and they're going to help you find that perfect watch for your loved one, whether that's your wife, your girlfriend. They got beautiful sports watches for her. They come in all kinds of different colors, and these are durable. If your wife or girlfriend are on the go like mine, they need something that's going to hold up and also look fantastic, and that's what Breitling Boutique has for you, as well as for the men, the gorgeous chronomats. These watches are terrific, and right now they've been celebrating pretty much all year the NFL's 104th year anniversary of that league, and they've been doing it with a limited edition of watches that are designed specifically for the 32 teams in the National Football League. These watches have the color of the team colors on the face of the chronomat watch, as well as the logos. They still had a few left before. This is going back about a month or so as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go, but all 32 teams represented as well. It's Breitling Boutique. It's right here in the neighborhood at International Plaza Mall. Terrific place. Go upstairs. Make sure you spend some time in there. Find that perfect watch that you may have missed out on for Valentine's Day for your wife, or for your girlfriend, or for your husband, or your boyfriend. It's all there at Breitling Boutique. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So I was watching hockey, and I was looking forward to this USA-Canada game. I really was. And then lo and behold, I turned it on late and found out that before they could drop the puck, all hell broke loose. was that the most premeditated fight for kind of
well,
an
they
international...
say it wasn't. They say, so Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, and JT Miller, the three U.S. players who got in the fights. There was 3 fights within the first 9 seconds.
Yep.
Earlier in the day, we're on a text chain saying they wanted to drop the gloves early and get into it and send a statement. And then apparently when the starting lineups were posted, that's when Tkachuk decided, I'm fighting Hagel. So they went at it within the first 3 seconds.
Which seems like a mismatch for Hagel, doesn't it?
Yeah, and although he held his own.
Yeah.
But as Hagel said, he asked, and I'm not going to back down to that guy.
No, you can't.
And they've kind of had some, not necessarily fights, but, Florida and Tampa, lots of spirited games the last few years, including playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
Teams don't like each other. Matthew Tkachuk doesn't really like anybody on a different team, so they went at it. And then during that fight, Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, or Brady went to Sam and said, "You're next," basically. And Matthew couldn't fight Sam Bennett because they're teammates on Florida, so you have to send your brother to go do that one. And then as play started in the next one, then JT Miller and Parayko got into it. And so you had 3 fights within 9 seconds. Whether you think that was good or bad, I thought by the time you got to the third one, it was a little excessive. It was like, come on, let's play some hockey.
Yeah.
I thought the U.S. I know what Matthew and Brady were trying to do and sending a statement. And this is the first time in 9 years that the U.S. and Canada have played best on best hockey.
Oh, wow.
And it's a huge rival because the NHL hasn't been in these international tournaments. They haven't played the Olympics, et cetera.
Yeah.
The countries have played in juniors and Olympics and that, but it hasn't been best on best. Hasn't been NHL players there. And as much as going into this Four Nations face-off, I was like, it'll be fun. I'll watch it. It'll be good hockey, a lot of great players, but I didn't really care that much about it. To see the intensity, to see the level of drive that each one of these 4 teams has had, and how serious and how important it is to them, it's been fun, man. Forget an all-star game, which basically this is replacing the all-star game this year. The NHL's not doing one, in which, last year Nikita Kucherov got ripped because he kind of gave up on a drill early because he missed a couple passes, and then, and you see the NBA all-star game where,
those are not good all-star games.
Yeah. The Pro Bowl is just, they don't even do a Pro Bowl anymore.
Horrendous.
Now it's just a bunch of games around.
Touch football, yeah.
And so, but to see to see 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of a game, and the roof blew off that place in Montreal. And then, just to see how things went. And to be honest, I thought the fights were a mistake for the U.S. because you took two of your top line forwards.
Yeah.
And before they got back on the ice, they were out of the box, but not back on the ice. Connor McDavid scores on a backhand, and you were down 1-0. But to be honest, the U.S. put on a clinic after that. And they end up winning 3-0. Jake Gensel gets 2 goals for the U.S.
He was great, yeah.
Gets the first goal and then gets the empty netter to seal it 3-1. But the passion, like I said, going into the tournament, it was like, I'll watch it. It'll be fun to watch. It's great. Got all the stars there. Fantastic. Except you don't have Czechia. You don't have Russia. You don't have, it's not a full best on best tournament because you only have 4 nations. But,
right.
It'll be fun to watch, but I didn't really care that much. It has been spectacular to watch. If you like hockey or just like intense sport, this is not a regular season NHL game.
Oh, no.
The intensity for wearing your country sweater and taking on those other teams has been incredible.
Yeah, there's so much pride. And I'm wondering, and whether the U.S. or whoever started it went all geopolitical on us, the national anthem has been getting booed.
Well, that's part of it too. That probably fueled.
So that probably ticked off more than a couple players in there, I would imagine.
Yep. And now so today is the last day of the round robin. So Canada will take on Finland at 1:00. And the winner of if someone wins that game in regulation, they will take on the U.S. in the championship game. The U.S. has already clinched a spot in the championship. If that game goes to overtime or a shootout, then Sweden has a chance to make the championship game if they beat the U.S. in regulation at 8:00 tonight.
Oh, wow.
But Sweden could be eliminated by that game if either Canada or Finland wins in regulation.
It's not exactly the miracle on ice, but, this would be quite the surprise, wouldn't it, for the U.S. to win, and quite a pride point for them, especially, I would imagine.
A pride point. I don't know if it's a surprise.
Yeah, they're all NHL players, right?
I think if you looked at the rosters, you'd say Canada has the best group of forwards, no question.
Yeah.
The U.S. has the best goaltending.
For sure, yeah.
That's where Canada's weak, is their goaltender.
Yep, that's right.
They don't. It's amazing the country that loves hockey that much doesn't have an
elite goaltender.
The best goalies in the world are Hellebuck of the U.S. and Vasilevsky and Shesterkin.
That's true.
Those are both Russia, and you go through the best goalies, and they're not Canadian.
Yeah,
in the league. I'll be curious to see who starts tonight for Canada or this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think anyone. You looked at the rosters. Finland has probably the weakest roster. The U.S. Canada were probably the 2 favored teams. Canada probably favored the most, but
out of 4, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the U.S. put on a clinic against Canada.
Yeah, they were great.
Once they got the lead, they kind of shut it down. I mean, Canada had a lot of possession, had some shots on net, but nothing. There wasn't a ton of real serious, dangerous shots. But the U.S. played really well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't expect the intensity for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't see it. And like I said, maybe the political narrative is fueling that, and that might have played into some people's feelings and all that. But man,
but even watch Sweden and Finland play, and watch
it's great hockey. They're just getting after it.
Yeah,
they're flat out getting after it. Yeah.
It's guys wearing the crest of their country, and
Mm-hmm.
these are guys that. And part of this is, look, I mean, next year they're going to be at the Olympics, which will be incredible too.
Right.
But then when you start doing this every year, it's going to be important. It's going to be big. But a lot of this is some of these guys have never played for their country before.
That's crazy.
Jake Gensel had never played for Team USA before.
That's right. That's right.
Because they haven't been in a lot of these best on best. There was once or twice he had a chance to play, but then had injuries and couldn't. But so many of these guys have wanted to play. These best on best competitions, and it just hasn't happened over the last few years. They were supposed to go to the Olympics in 2022. COVID cancellations and having to make up games, and then also the COVID restrictions of China, which is where the Olympics were, and the testing, getting in and out, and if you tested positive, they didn't go to the Olympics in 2022. So it's been a long time since they've had this. Now they're going to have the Olympics next year. In 2028, they're going to do the World Cup of Hockey again. They're bringing that back. So you're going to see this more often, which is great. Whether it's as intense of like that game Saturday night every time, probably not, but it's still going to be U.S., Canada. It's still going to be intense. It's still going to be incredible, and I love seeing it. And like I said, going into this Four Nations, I was like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I didn't like the break in the season for the NHL. And you always risk some injuries in that, but it was like, but the best players are going there, so it's going to be fun to watch. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I have.
No, it's been great. It's been absolutely great. So we've got quite a bit. I mean, to look forward. You also had the Daytona 500, which was sort of like the thing about NASCAR now. It feels like, especially maybe in Daytona, is that you run it, and then there's an accident, and then everybody's under caution, and they get about 2 or 3 laps, and then the race ends.
That's what happened.
That's what happens every year.
Yep. And then there was more wrecks on the last lap.
Yeah, but it was behind the leaders, and so they finish. They finished like that.
No, it took out the leaders. That took out the leaders, but some cars squeaked by, so they didn't go yellow.
Right. And a guy, I guess, it's gone back to back now. Apparently,
yeah. Byron won it again, so 2 straight for him. Some of the best cars, knocked out in the last 10 laps. Joey Logano was running great.
See, that's what I would do. I'd deliberately tank it so that I went like in the bottom 15 until those last few laps.
That is some of it. There is fuel strategy with that.
Yeah.
If you can, if you save your fuel, run a little back, and then other guys have to, can't go as hard because they don't have enough fuel.
They got a pit, and then you take the lead. Yeah.
Well, but it's even, cars are like, hey, we're short on fuel. You got to lay off the throttle. You can't go hard yet. You got to wait where other cars have a full tank of fuel.
Yeah.
There's so much strategy with that, and so much luck then with the wrecks because.
Yeah, no one's telling me to take it easy around that track. I can tell you that. Love Daytona. They started a little early because of the weather.
And then, they got 13 laps in and they had a delay.
And then they had
it was hours. It was hours later. I mean, the race didn't end until 9:30.
That's right. A little different pace car this year too, by the way.
A little bit.
The entire motorcade of President Trump was it. What's the next sporting event? Because he's going to be there. I promise you. Whatever it is.
Well, let's see. We got the Grand Prix of St. Pete coming in a couple weeks.
Oh, that'd be a good one if you want. Probably not big enough for him. Valspar, no, probably not.
Spring training games start this week, so
yeah, you throw out the first pitch somewhere if you want to do that.
Yeah, and then we had soccer at Ray J on Friday night.
Yeah, your boy Messi. Mm-hmm. Did you get tickets for that?
I did not. I did not go. I actually
pretty expensive from what I hear.
The tickets were expensive, but it's if you're going to see the GOAT.
The good news is he played. I wasn't sure he was actually going to get here and play.
I believe part of the deal was he had to play at least a half, and this is like one of their final preseason games because the season starts, I believe, this weekend for MLS. So,
okay, got it.
So part of that, but he played 75 minutes, I believe. So,
yeah, no, you gave him a good. It was a close game,
ended in a tie. So,
yeah,
because MLS, I believe, starts this weekend for or Miami and Orlando City and all the teams in MLS. So,
wow. Not to be outdone, and I don't want to get into this now because you're much more of a soccer aficionado than me. But the United Soccer League announced that they are going to move to having a Division One league.
yeah. So this is really interesting. So if you're familiar with soccer and what makes American sports different than European is take the Premier League, which is 20 teams in England, but
right.
there's like 5 levels of soccer in England. There's the Premier League, then there's the Championship, and then there's several more below that.
Yep.
If you've seen Wrexham, if you watch the show with Ryan Reynolds,
there you go, Ryan Reynolds,
that team has moved up 2 levels already. So
yeah,
typically, I believe in England, it's the top 3 teams of a division move up a league the next year, and the bottom 3 in a league move down. So every year, there's 3 new teams in the Premier League because the bottom 3 teams are relegated down to the. It's funny, you get regulated from the Premier League to go to the Championship League, but
yeah.
And then 3 teams from there move up, and it happens in all the levels of England soccer. And this is what the new USL League is proposing and wants to do is have a league of teams, but have relegation, which means you can't tank.
Right.
You can't
every
just
game
go,
matters.
We're going to lose. We're going to, every game does matter, and every point matters. And, at the end of the season, there's a lot of your owners particularly, but even the players it's very vested in staying at the top level.
That's right.
Because if you go down a level, one, your team's not worth as much. Your sponsorship dollars aren't coming in as much, which means you're not paying the players as much.
Right.
There's a big financial interest for all involved.
Yeah, to be fair, they have not the USL has not announced that they're going to have relegation. But it's being widely speculated.
I was going to say all the things I read about this deal was
they're not denying. I mean, they're not going to the point of saying no, we would never do that, or no, we haven't even thought about it. Of course, they have, and I think that's where they're moving. That there's going to be standards that just to meet a Division One team, I think they want to have around 14 teams initially. You got to have, I think, a 10,000 or 15,000 seat stadium. There's just a lot of things to jump through, and we'll see what that means to their current Division Two, like the Tampa Bay Rowdies and others. Certainly will be affected by that. But it's pretty big news, especially if what follows is what people are speculating is that you might have relegation in this country, which is not happening. It's probably not going to happen with the MLS. So yeah, maybe room for 2 leagues, room for one in the United States that does it sort of like it's done in Europe. It's kind of exciting, different. For those of you that follow soccer closely, you'll know a lot more about it than I do. But
well, and it's going to be interesting how if this happens, because there's arguments for a lot of. I mean, ownership. One of the things when you own an American sports team is you can be the Cleveland Browns or the New York Jets or whatever and lose for the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Sabres in hockey.
Yeah.
And, not make the playoffs for 12 straight years.
That's right.
And you're still in the NFL, and it doesn't matter.
You are. Yes, you
are. As long
as
you spend to the minimum cap,
then
you're fine. And you can just make money and not care about winning.
That's right.
Not saying everybody does that, although there's questionable whether some really truly want to win.
Yeah, the priorities are not winning first. It's, enjoying their money.
But so when you start having relegation, you can't finish in the bottom 3.
Right.
So you better make sure, Now, there's not necessarily salary caps and things like that. So it's how much money do you want to invest in players? How much money do you want to pay?
That's going to be the key. It's going to be the key.
It'll be curious how, it's not common in U.S. for ownership where I'm in the top league, but by next year I might be in the second league. And in 2 years you could be in the third league. Just because you went down this year doesn't mean, you might go back up the next year, but you might end up
take
down
another
step
league. Back. Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantees of that. So how much does owners put in, et cetera? It'll be, if it comes here, it's going to be very interesting. I know, like I said, that's how it's done the rest of the world. So
Yeah, and just to be clear, I mean the Rowdies are currently Division II, and I think they're owned by the Rays as we speak.
They are, yes.
That could change, but yeah, you can have teams that are currently in the league come forward and say we want to be Division I. They just have to meet the criteria. The first of which is, stop me if you've heard this before, they would need a stadium.
Well, yeah. So what? I believe it's a 15,000 seat stadium.
15,000 seat, and not the new Tropicana field that they're sort of trying to build.
I mean, could they play there if they did?
In a pinch, yeah.
I mean, because Al Lang Stadium does not have that capacity. At this point.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And would they want to put money into that and do that there, or if they want to try to move up to that D1? And this is a couple years away from happening still too.
Yeah, it's a couple years away, and we'll by that time, who knows who owns the Rays or the Rowdies, but certainly an option for them, and kind of exciting news, especially if you're into soccer, and there was a lot written and said about it. Okay, so no NFL. I'm still kind of coming down from the Yeah,
this was the first Sunday in like 6 months. There hasn't been.
It was hard, man.
A football game.
It was hard. I was glad I was able to get distracted by my daughter dancing, but it was tough. Just not a lot of sports on, and obviously you had the Daytona 500 and that sort of thing, but
lots of college basketball to watch right now.
A lot of college basketball, and basically college basketball, correct me if I'm wrong, is really just the SEC.
This year it's been incredible. I mean, we just had the first 1 versus 2 matchup ever in the SEC.
Alabama, Auburn, right?
Yep, and Florida's right there as well.
I mean, so many good teams out of the SEC. It's just mind-boggling. Really is.
Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten's taken over football, winning the last 2 national titles. So the SEC is now taking over basketball.
It's kind of backwards, isn't it? A little bit. What am I missing here? I'm all confused. But yeah, everybody's like, "Oh man, Alabama, Auburn, you can't miss it." I was like, "What is this? The Iron Bowl?" No, it's 1 versus 2. Florida, of course, is having one hell of a year. Mm-hmm. They've been fantastic. They're going to get a high seed. We're not too far from
they're a number one seed right
now.
If it started today, they're a number 1 seed.
They'd be a 1, yeah. Yep. How about that?
Yeah, Auburn, Alabama, and Florida would all be number 1s if it started today.
It's awesome, baby, with a capital A. This is the first time, about the time of every year, I begin to follow some college basketball, because I know that somebody's going to throw a bracket at me one day.
Yep.
And I got to be able to do some bracketology, but I'm going straight chalk SEC the whole way. An entire SEC Final Four, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, my kids have been asking, because last year for the first, just as a family, we did a bracket.
Yeah.
And so my boys are 9 and 11. So
who won it?
My youngest son won it last year.
There you go.
So, but they've been asking for the last couple of weeks. We gonna do a bracket again? Like,
yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, and
so
then
they're counting down and waiting. So
later on, I'll teach you how to become a degenerate gambler. Those things, man, I'll tell you. But what's so great about them is that it gives you a rooting interest in every game. Like, back in the day, you would like take Old Dominion as a 16 seed or something. You'd be like, man, I can't. You find out everything you know about Old Dominion because that's your team. So
last year we did 1 point for every game.
That's fair, I think.
My youngest son won it, but he got like none of the Elite 8. He just got really good at the early rounds.
Just racked up the early ones.
And even though, like, I had 1 or 2 in the Final Four, I think my wife had 1 or 2.
You still didn't win?
But we didn't win because we did awful in some of the first round games, but we got more of the later teams. So I think this year we're going to do more of a, progressive, where each round is more points than the round before. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But
yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, we're close to it, man. It's not far at all, just a couple weeks away. Hey, make sure you get your mailbag questions in. We'll have time for those this week. Obviously, didn't get to any today. We can do that on Twitter or X at SportsDayTB. You can reach me at NFL Stroud, or my email address is rstroud@tampabay.com. Please go by International Plaza Mall and see our friends at Breitling Boutique. They've got watches ready for you, and not just any, but the best Switch watchmaker around. They've been in the mall now for over 5 years. Go to the middle of the mall, upstairs, gorgeous store. Lots of watches for men, for women. If you forgot about Valentine's Day, not too late. They'll be happy to get this, whether you're talking about the NFL's 104th year anniversary special watches that represent all 32 teams, or something else maybe for your wife or for your girlfriend. It's all there at Breitling Boutique. Thanks again for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day.